Greetings, my name is Jake. Welcome back to Fire Emblem Awakening the Critiquethrough. Last time we finally made it through the Fort Steiger chapter, and now we have an even more fun chapter to take on. Wait, what? Oh, that's right. Yeah, I recorded the channel update. That's right. Anyway, what's going on? Probably nothing. Oh, it's someone's birthday? Oh, it's Stahl's birthday. Okay. Magic and luck. Fantastic. 10 XP. Amazing. Wilderwind. I don't know what that is. Okay, well, we have two of them now, so that's interesting. Okay. What the hell is Wilderwind? Increases... Oh, it's a 2-might critical tome with 5 uses. And only 75 hit. I guess that is the same as Arc Thunder. Okay, very weird. Okay. You know, even when I was, first playing Awakening and didn't realize how fucking bad it is, I hated this mission. I don't know how to properly describe it. It's just so baffling, obnoxious. Anyway, let's get into it. Why was that not a chapter? I don't understand why that was not a chapter. It would have been... I'm really annoyed that they just... Awakening just keeps glossing over things. It just... Okay.
Right.
Nonetheless.
See, this is what I complain about with a wet fart and his ideas. No one brought up this volcano. I mean, sure, it was on the map and everything, but everything... The camera literally turns and points to it while Sairi is talking about something else. And to be fair, if Sairi was talking to me, I'd probably look away and find something else to look at and occupy my mind with. But you don't think that the camera should in a game that's not openly contemptuous of her. Okay, so there's no volcanoes in Arcanaya, which, isn't there a new mystery map where you go through like a bit of a mountain and like the inside of it and there's lava everywhere? Isn't that a thing? I swear that's a thing. It might even be in the original and not more useless shit they added to Mystery of the Emblem. I don't know. Also, where was this in Gaiden? There's no... And who's the wicked fire god? You believe in... Well, you have a weird belief. You believe in Naga, but you also have Mila and I guess Duma, because Duma didn't go away. He just stopped being a dick for a while. Oh, it's so dumb.
I see.
Fei.
All right. Right.
So be it.
Oh god, this fucking map. Oh god, there's chests. I forgot there's chests. This guy doesn't move, thankfully. 5 and 7. Okay, let me take stock of their weapons. You have all that stupid shit. All silver weapons. Alright, you're a problem. You're not a problem. Not very much 1-2 range. I mean, there's some mages about. Sages. Oh, I should check skills as well. Yeah, not very little 1-2 range. Okay, so let me check skills once we get back to. Okay, so he has all the normal Swordmaster skills except for Swordfare, which is weird because he's level 15. Okay. That's Aegis, right? Okay. That's Tantivy. So we're best taking him out soon. That's Outdoor Fighter. Ooh, that's Lance Breaker. That's a bit of a problem. Well, nothing else dangerous. Oh, wait. I may need to exit and re-enter this map as I sort everyone's inventory out. Because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sort out inventory, pick who I'm going to bring, and enjoy this wonderful map that... Anyway, see you then. Alright. I don't think this is going to work, but I'm going to try. So let's give it a go. Ah, Yanfei, such a deep and interesting character. Ooh.
What?
I no longer have a sister.
Really?
God, there's just so much emotional weight in having Yanfei fight with his sister. They're just, you know, such compelling and I'm gonna stop this. Anyway, big problem on these fucking maps are Swordmasters, and you think, oh, well, they're Swordmasters, they're very fast, but they're not very strong, but they've got silver weapons and pretty high, and just as high strength as everyone else, so then you got these fucking Griffin Riders, because it's just a big fucking mass of enemies, and it doesn't matter, and we're all gonna die. Okay, Okay, good. That's step one. You don't. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we don't need to waste that right now. Okay. And you have 17 speed, so Lonku can double you. And not do very much damage, because you have a bunch of health. And no dual strike. Steel axe is fine. Killer axe does have the best chance of being a kill, so we'll go for that. And Lonku didn't dual strike, but there's a miss. Although you can't take 2 hits, and now you're in range of the Swordmaster. This is already a reset. Yeah. I didn't consider how many of them... You know what? Why am I even trying? Alright, how did the skills change this time? Because I just want to know if anyone has fucking counter. Okay. No counter, and now it's you with that. Okay. Alright. You know what time it is. It's time for cheese. Because this game is not designed to be played normally. Shut up. Shut up. So, instead, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna pair up. Just pair up. That's all you do. You just pair up. There we go. Now you're dead. Nice. Key. I'm not even gonna bother attacking here. We'll just do this. I'll trade you for that. Yeah, because we don't want to waste that on the wyverns. You can use Titania's axe because that's better on defense. You can use the steel axe. We don't need to waste the killer axe here. Those aren't... Oh, I was going to say that those aren't great bonuses, but then I saw the 8 strength, and yeah, maybe it is, but pretty good bonuses. All right, similar sort of deal over here. Didn't kill. Marvelous. So you can attack Libra. Can you attack Libra? You cannot attack Libra. So in that case, what I think I'll do is put you there with an Elwind. The rally doesn't matter. And do I want to pair? No, I don't want to pair you up. Even though it would be very advantageous to do so. No, we'll just rally you. Okay. You're the fucking problem. Although you only have 33 attack. So maybe that's not a problem. Okay, so instead, have to use Arc Thunder. You have a lance, so we'll just go for the lance as well, even though an axe would give a lot more accuracy. No dual strike, because of course, that's fine. See, that won't block those guys, though. So... Huh... You would double. And you're in range if I put you there. If I put you anywhere, actually. But you can't get a kill, because of course you can't, because why would anything go well? So instead, we'll do this, which will get Anna Lucky 7. And more avoid, so that's good. Still can't do enough. Okay, that's fine. Because what we're gonna do in... No, we can't do that. Do this. Okay. Then we're gonna put you here. Yeah. And then now, Lance is probably not the best because we've got an axe, Silver Lance. Yeah, so we'll give you a bronze axe, I guess. Fuck it. No, because that will reduce your chances of hitting him. So we'll take the accuracy hit on the warrior. And no dual strike from you either. This is going to be a wonderful enemy phase. Oh, I put you in heal range. Okay. Good. 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 And I didn't just mean Chirche's strange leotard. High leg leotard. Well, it's not even a high leg. But it's definitely not a low leg. That was a bit of a pointless crit there, but there are worse things. Okay, good.
Much gratefulness.
Need more speed, Cordelia.
My strength is yours. Here's how it's done.
Okay. Oh, slow burn. Okay. Oh, still getting doubled. Interesting. And missed it. Okay. I wish I had something to talk about. Well, I mean, there's various things I could talk about. Oh, yep, there it is. Yeah. I'm gonna play through this off-screen. Or not off-screen, but without commentary. We'll see how many attempts it takes. Hi, so for this post-commentary, it's actually going to continue after the story resumes and the chapter is over. That's ostensibly because I accidentally duplicated my microphone recording, and so it had two recordings playing on a single channel, and it sounded awful. But the real reason is I just wasn't satisfied with my commentary in this video. Playing this game is emotionally exhaustive. And I've mentioned this multiple times, but this game is just not fun to play. And so my commentary suffered as a result. So I apologize if this episode has a little odd cadence as the story stops, because when I was recording it, I was talking about something, but I've since abandoned that because it sounded awful even without the microphone issues in a certain respects. Yeah, and there's attempt 3 gone already as I hurriedly try to skip through everything. So what I wanted to talk about first of all is just part of the reason why my commentary was so bad is because I was just repeating myself, saying the same things over and over again, and bringing up points from previous episodes and things like that. By the way, I exited out of the chapter because got killed by a warrior with counter, which is just a fun skill. But yeah, I just don't find this game fun to play, and I wanted to talk about that in a certain respect. Because I haven't recorded this game in a while. Summer classes and a crippling Hollow Knight addiction have prevented me from recording very much this whole month thus far. But I will get better at it, and despite the fact that YouTube screwed up my scheduling of when videos were supposed to go live, I will try to maintain my schedule. But in that time, I've had some time to think, some time away from Awakening, and yeah, so I can come to have a different sort of view on it. I guess I'll just say it. I ran into some criticism of Pokemon Generation 2, and by extension, the Gen 2 remakes, and there was my initial sort of gut, like, oh, come on, I love this game so much, that sort of the thing. But then I started thinking, like, oh, well, these people are looking for different things than I look for in games, and so, Frederick is great. That is sort of what I wanted to talk about. And I know this is something that we kind of take for granted, that everyone looks for different sorts of things, and things are subjective and all that sort of stuff. But it's going to come into play with this video, because part of my commentary on the story of this particular episode is that Yenfei and Sairi are not interesting because their stories are not told in a way that is interesting. It doesn't make us care about the story at hand, and then their interactions. I think one of the good points I did make in my commentary was I said, we didn't get to see Sairi interact with other people or with her brother. We didn't get to see how their relationship was. So, although I didn't say it, the only, apart from the words that Sairi says about, oh, I'm so ashamed that my brother has betrayed me and all of that stuff, the only other thing we have to go on is our understanding cultural understanding of siblings. And so we have to associate by proxy what they're like, or possibly by what the other characters are like, because we've seen Lissa and Crom interact, and Amarin, I was going to say interact, but she just kind of is. That's mean. But we've seen, sibling dynamics in the game thus far. So we have to fill in the blanks, and I'm not going to say that a story that relies upon the audience filling in the blanks is intrinsically a bad thing. A game or a story can be very minimalist or abstract, and that can be very effective. Again, I've been playing Hollow Knight, and it's story sparse, and the actual text is very vague, and it's clearly leading to other it's trying to evoke things, but it's unclear what the actual text of the matter is. And that's not, well, I suppose it is a criticism in the absolute sense. The problem with ambiguity is that it can be misinterpreted or not understood properly. But it's also effective in, it doesn't weigh us down with minutia or with particulars that might not be interesting to us. So, I don't think that works in Sairi's case, because this game doesn't really do subject and meaning very well anyway. It barely does text all that well. So trying to, it's not deliberately being ambiguous or underdeveloped or taking a sort of archaeological approach to storytelling. Instead, it's just underdeveloped. Another good point I made in my commentary was Yenfei says more in his boss conversation with Crom than he does in the rest of the game, and that by necessity does more to outline his ethos than everything else in the game, which is kind of remarkable in a certain way. I know I haven't really been talking about the gameplay very much, but no, wait, that's not where I wanted to go with this. I'm sorry. These are always rambling because I don't plan these out very much, and I should always do more, but that doesn't really excuse it anyway. But there are some people who think that Yenfei is really cool for whatever reason, or there's some people who really love Sairi, which I've already talked about, and I said I don't understand, but obviously they're looking for something and appreciating something different than I am. And, maybe they are just taking the sum total of all of the good bits of that Sairi has to say across the game and all of its DLC and ignoring the in-between, which I'm not going to say is invalid. There's if you can take something that's not terribly interesting, but you can extract the things you do care about, there's value to that, and those feelings are not invalid because of it. So I'd actually kind of be curious to know why someone would like a character like Sairi. The same way I would kind of be interested to know how people would excuse the Volmark. And I know one of them is that, there's so many tools in the game that help you. So many ways that you have, you have Spot Pass and Street Pass and Bonus Box and all this bonus teams, and you can exploit it and all of the stuff. And therefore, what you get is, you have all those tools, but my response, as I've said before, is the game doesn't teach you about that. The game doesn't teach you that, you can rescue strat your ways through things. And also I have the problem that it's kind of boring. It's boring to have a bunch of paired up units just do everything. I would rather have a more active player phase where I didn't have or have some of my units completely indisposed because they're being a backpack for someone else. I guess now we have gotten onto the topic of gameplay, so I will bring that up. I didn't have much to say about this map beforehand, and I was thinking it over. On the one hand, as I was playing through it, I was thinking, you know what? I have no incentive to do anything other than just sit and wait for enemies to come towards me, and I still believe that to a certain extent. I think this apart from the lava gimmick, which is dumb in how it was executed, I'm going to give this chapter a little bit of credit because it is trying to incentivize you to move quickly, because eventually the chest will be destroyed, which I had actually forgotten about. I thought that you could just get them afterwards, and you'll see me employ some strategies to get them very quickly once I realize that. So there is an incentive to move quickly and to not turtle, but it's being countermanded by the fact that the initial wave of enemies bum rush you, and once the lava mechanic does damage to enemies, they also bum rush you, which actually leads to kind of like waves that are, well, it's not really even waves. It leads to enemies in the back moving forward, and then that increases the already high enemy density towards the front lines. So in the broadest strokes, it was a decent idea to have this thing that will do damage to you and will destroy your chests, but it didn't work with the rest of the mechanics. And of course, the game is still broken by pair-up, so your best strategy is to just have one of your best units pair up with another unit and that they support, and just stomp through everything. And like, I get it, it can be fun, but when enemy phases are so long, it's really takes something out of the interactivity of the game. It's more of seeing the consequences of your actions, seeing how your tactical decisions have played out. And a game built around that can be very interesting. For instance, I don't know where I pulled this from, but I think it's called The Incredible Machine. Very early sort of educational video games. They were from like the 90s. Was it The Incredible Machine? I can't remember now. But they are about, making these ridiculous sort of Rune Goldberg machines to solve convoluted problems. So it can be an interesting mechanic, but it needs to be faster. And I guess the counter argument would be, well, just turn off animations like you're doing here. But then you get rid of like the visual appeal of it. And, part of it is seeing it. If the appeal is supposed to be seeing the consequences of your actions, then getting rid of the animations does detract from that. I'm running out of things to say already, which is not a good sign. But I want to at the very least do a better job of explaining why I find the particular gameplay choices so boring, and why I don't like them, and why I don't think they should return, and all that sort of stuff. And hopefully I've done that. I mean, you've seen me, you can see me in the past when I recorded this hemming and hawing about different decisions, but it's not the sort of decisions that are interesting. It's not, oh, what is the best tactical decision? It's, who has the strongest might to take on this challenge. And so it is all about the numbers. And I guess there's, that's not intrinsically a bad thing, because a lot of strategy is about what forces can defeat other forces. And, I mentioned Rome Total War before, and you want to have your elite troops rely on your elite troops. And that's why you invest the infrastructure to build them, and, use the... there's build up and release and using them, and you have to use them tactically, but that in that game, that's not the only thing that's going on with them. It's not just what's a good example? Like your heavy infantry doesn't always necessarily beat the lighter infantry. There's other factors at play, and I guess that's true here. It's I just there's people out there who don't like the weapon triangle because they think it flattens strategy and makes more objective right answers to that. And I don't really think that's true in that case. I see their point, I guess. But I don't think it's really the case. But I do have to say that I think the reliance on strong enemies who primarily are defeated through pair up on enemy phase or on player phase, just because you have your Uber unit, that actually does kind of flatten strategy, because it means that the overall benchmark of enemy units is higher, because the game is built around pair up units and the stat benefits that come from that. And it's not, your decision making is not about formation and choke points. I mean, it is on this map because there actually are some choke points, but usually in this game, the maps are very open. There's a lack of, there's still, even on this map, a lack of defensive terrain. It just feels different to me, and I don't know how to properly articulate that. There's an aspect of not only of subjectivity, but of game feel, about how the game feels. And obviously I don't like the way that this game feels. I don't like just bunching up my units and watching them tear through everything. That's not interesting to me. I don't like there being so much enemy phase. And now I am repeating myself, so I should probably stop doing that. We're nearing the end here. So we'll be able to talk about Yanfei and how the story progresses here a little bit. I didn't realize how many bosses had boss quotes with Crom. which is not a good situation to be in because that's where most of the story is. You know, like I said, Yenfei's character is largely contained to this conversation right here. So let's take a look at that. I mean, Crom's like trying. He's basically just acting as a surrogate for Sairi and asking the questions that she would ask of Yenfei. And Yenfei's kind of alluding to things, I guess. But Crom doesn't understand it, and maybe there's a way you could have pieced together, but that's all kind of irrelevant because the problem I have with hiding, you know, so much of the character behind boss quotes is that, like I said, you can very easily miss them. If you don't have Crom specifically take them on, you miss out on that. And I'm not going to say that that's not an intrinsic problem. I mentioned archaeological storytelling with Hollow Knight, and that is a way to approach it. And I think it, in a way, follows in the vein of Dark Souls, which didn't create, but it very much popularized and brought into the forefront a way of looking at the game that, or a way of storytelling that is deliberately obtuse and hard to parse, and it's set up in a way that is meant to be ambiguous and also meant for players to piece together the puzzle pieces that are left behind. And Fire Emblem is not that. Also, here's Exilus, who has to explain everything. You know, in a very upfront game like Fire Emblem, it's a very tell rather than show experience, and part of that is the way the story is portrayed. You know, it's a series of text box that up until, I guess if you want to, well, there were, you know, some cutscenes, but there weren't. Well, there were. It didn't have characters acting. It's much more descended from a visual novel sort of storytelling, and so that's not intrinsically a problem. You can do very interesting things with that. I think Steins Gate is really, really good and does interesting things with the way it's told. This really isn't that, though. This is a very upfront sort of experience, and in that vein, you have to convey stuff to your audience, and having Exilus just show up afterwards and like he's doing I can't remember which is the, I think it's he. No, she, because she uses female pronouns in the Japanese version. That's what I decided. She has to show up and explain things because the game didn't do that already. And so it's the story is falling back on its crutch of telling rather than showing. And as a consequence, the actual storytelling is poor because, you know, you can always make up for it and have someone explain it after the fact. And that's a very calloused, cynical way to approach it. And I don't think it makes the Yenfei's actions any more profound. If anything, I think it makes it less profound. Like, if it had been left ambiguous, or maybe his dying words had been, like, "Oh, Sairi, now I've really saved you," and we had to kind of piece it together, that would be somewhat interesting. But, Yenfei's story is not very interesting. He's not an interesting character. He doesn't have very many lines. The story doesn't allow him to be interesting. And to have someone show up afterwards and say, "Oh, well, here's all the reasons why he did what he did," which we saw entirely off screen and was just talked about, that's not good storytelling. I mean, you can have a twist about a character who's unseen that is profound. Trying to think of an example, but maybe you can't do that. Maybe you do have to... Yeah, I guess you would have to do it a little bit, because you have to... There needs to be some sort of expectation or experience that needs to be subverted in order for a twist to work. And I guess you could say that the game did do that by explaining Yenfei and his actions, or raising questions about that, having Sairi wonder why she's siding with Walhart, but it doesn't make anything more emotionally interesting. And because the core of the story is about the way the characters feel rather than any sort of intrigue or the intricacies of their actions, it falls flat because there's no emotional investment in Sairi and Yenfei's relationship. We haven't seen it at all, like I talked about it at the very beginning.
My gratitude.
Yeah. And, like, Sairi is supposed to make some change from this, but, we don't really see that. Now, in contrast, something that does have a little bit more weight is this scene here, where they're talking about Basilio dying, because we've seen Basilio, we've seen him interact with other people. And so, while I don't think they were particularly interesting characters, the structure of it is better because we've actually seen there's weight behind it. Now, I didn't pick up on this at the time when I was recording, but my big problem with this scene here, where everyone's acting mopey about Basilio dying, isn't that it's, very melodramatic and everything, and Basilio's death is... Well, the thing is, he doesn't really die. So all of these emotions are ultimately meaningless. Well, they're not meaningless. They have a purpose, and they do demonstrate a raising of the stakes, but then the story ultimately reneges on those feelings. And so it kind of going, with that knowledge in mind that the game is going to undercut this, I think it would make it... I think it would betray a lot of the whatever emotions the player felt on their first experience. That, maybe there was someone who was very invested in Basilio and felt somewhat emotional, or even very emotional, at his death. But then going through it again, that he's not actually dead. Also, I complain about Basilio holding onto the orb until this point again, but that doesn't need to be said again. Instead, I just, Zero Punctuation, Yahtzee, had a point in his Ori and the Blind Forest review where he said that the ending to the game where, well, I won't say what happens, but it ultimately undercuts the emotional core because a character survives, I'll say that much, through extenuating circumstances, and that undercuts it because it means that anyone in that universe can ultimately survive anything. And so why does anyone really care about anything if you can ultimately just, live through anything? And there's a similar problem with Basilio here because the game wants to have its cake and eat it too. It wants us to feel emotional about Basilio's death, but it also doesn't want to give up on Basilio and wants you to still enjoy him and have him around and be able to romance him and have children that are with him, well, child with him. And that's kind of emblematic of something I talk about in the original recording of the outro here once we get back to the map. And that's that Awakening is a very compromised game. It's a game that tries to do a lot of things and not any of them well. And I wondered in the outro if, say, in particular, like the Valm arc should have been more of a throwback to Gaiden, or if it should have tried to been more of its own thing, because it tries to do both and consequently fails at both. It tries to evoke, Rudolph, Mila versus Duma, that sort of stuff, but it doesn't do it enough to make a cohesive statement about it. And is the response to that, well, they should have leaned into that more and kind of had like a modern retelling of the events of Gaiden, or do they ebb away from that and try to do their own thing? And I don't have an answer to that. I think it should have been one or the other. I don't know which would have been better. If this game really was supposed to be, a send-off to the series, maybe it should have leaned harder into that. Like I talked about with Grima, maybe he should have been, a conglomerate of all the evil from the past series, and, you have the good gods and various other forces from the series play into that, and that's why the Book of Naga and, Sigmund and all these other things are lying around. Alternatively, it could have been its own thing that, like the rest of the series, has placed into archetypes and general trends of the series, and relies on them, but ultimately been its own thing. And I feel that compromise throughout the game. You see it with the spot pass characters, where all of the characters who do actually die and stay dead in the, base game story, they come back. And that undercuts a lot of the emotion, and they're underdeveloped. Like Yenfei doesn't even have a support with Sairi, which is horseshit. But I also think you can see it in a wet fart, because a wet fart, like I've said before, doesn't have a central character. They just have a bunch of bits that the character is supposed to add up to, and it ultimately doesn't. So, yeah, Awakening is a very compromised game. And I think it's, if you'll pardon the pun, emblematic of why I don't like these sort of broad appeal games. And I generally, my favorite games are those that don't have as much polish or as much fanfare or like the high fidelity cutscenes and the really excellent score necessarily, but they try to do something really interesting. They're an experiment in some way. And to other people, they may not succeed, like Far Cry 2, which I'm contemplating doing a series on, although it would ultimately be unnecessary because I think the best Far Cry 2 video has already been made. Maybe I'll put that in the description. And so, yeah, I would prefer, even like Three Houses, which I don't necessarily think is that good of a game. It definitely tried some stuff, and I can respect it for that. And sure, I think the ultimate conclusion of that is it demonstrated that neither Intelligent System nor the Fire Emblem fanbase is ready for gray morality tales. But that's something. Also, those are the only supports I got from that whole chapter, so that's fun. But anyway, I hope this has been interesting. I hope this has been... I'm also going to do more of this going forward because, again, this game is just hard to play. But in the meantime, I've been Jake. This has been Fire Emblem Awakening the Critique Through. Have a good one.